After talking to a few Kind representatives, we found the overall consensus to be the company's corporate culture was fun and exciting. The employees also said they wouldn't change anything about the company and that they enjoyed the existing corporate structure. Observations we also noticed were that employees all seemed to love their job and had a great deal of loyalty with the company. They did, however, seem very closed off and would only answer very generic and vague questions about the company. Many of them suggested reading the book Do the Kind Thing by CEO Dan Levetsky. It focused on think boundlessly, work purposefully, and live passionately.
Now let's talk about the problem at Kind. Kind is expanding rapidly, and it is necessary for them to hire new people and keep the organizational culture as they expand to different geographical areas. The problem with this is that new habits, behaviors, and cultural features are becoming part of Kind's culture and they can shift it to a wrong direction. It is difficult for Kind to ensure that everyone is reinforcing the company's vision and mission, and that the new hires are learning about the organizational culture at the same time that the company is undergoing an expansion process. Over time, new people are becoming part of Kind, and they are not taught the purpose of the organization, or they forget about it. People learn to do things their own ways, and they do not want to come out of their comfort zone or learn procedures the Kind way. Also, when hiring new people, it is important to be aware that they come from a different organizational culture, and we have to make sure that they are a good fit. Also, it is necessary to teach them what the philosophy of the company is in order to get them to adapt to its culture. Furthermore, new geographical areas tend to make a great influence in the organization's culture because different cultural features might slowly be incorporated to the organization. For this reason, it is necessary to implement a method that helps Kind to address these issues. As a solution, we recommend Kind to use Lewin's three-step model, which consists in three basic steps: unfreeze, movement, and refreeze. The first step in this process is unfreezing. Unfreeze means that we have to make people aware what's going on in their company and why a change is necessary. Kind needs to ensure that all its employees are aware that the company is growing and that they need to ensure that they want to maintain their organizational culture. In order to do so, it is necessary to get rid of the bad habits and behaviors that they have acquired over time and ensure that the company is going to be transmitted to new hires. It is very important to have good communication and provide the employees with the right information to avoid possible drawbacks in the future. The second step in our process is movement. Once everyone knows why a change is needed in the organization, it is necessary to implement and get everyone involved. An effective way to implement this change is that Kind delegate leadership roles to employees with more seniority in the organization because they have more experience and they are more familiar with the corporate culture. They would be in charge of reinforcing the company's mission and getting everyone involved. The last step is refreezing. Refreeze means that when the changes have been implemented, it is necessary to make them permanent. Changes do not happen over time or without the right supervision and support. For this reason, Kind will have to assign to change agents, such as managers and supervisors, to test and measure the effectiveness of the changes implemented. The changes can be measured through surveys and observation. If the changes implemented are not supervised or established correctly, the organization will go back to the old ways.
Some of the benefits of the Lewin's model are that it's easy, simple, flexible, and adaptable. The model guidelines are not complex and only follow three main stages. Those stages are also flexible to change, which regularly occurs when a major transition is occurring. Models being able to adapt to the environment they're in is a critical step to delivering a successful transition. The model also encourages participation by including all employees throughout the process of change. Since it's adaptable, it allows for future change beyond the scope of the current change, meaning that if in a few years Kind goes through some more expansion or another kind of transition, the Lewin's model can be easily implemented again to adapt to those new changes. An expert in organizational change stated that Lewin's three-stage change model is the most powerful and fundamental of the tools in his box. One of the drawbacks of the model is that it does require constant directions from agents of change. Managers will have to guide their new employees throughout the entire transitioning period.
The two major sources of resistance include sources of individual sources and organizational sources. Individual sources include habit, security, and the fear of unknown. Habit is when someone works at a company and acquires a specific way of doing things, whereas fear of unknown is the fear of unpredictable situations and new things that make people in the organization fear of what is coming for them. Organizational sources are ones that are most related to the kind company. Changes in organization causes change in structure, it threats the expertise and also limits the focus of change. When an organization experiences changes in structure inertia, it acts as a counterbalance to sustain sustainability. Therefore, when kind recruits new people, it will have to go through the same transition process and will experience counterbalance to sustain sustainability.
Some methods to overcoming resistance to organizational change include focusing on communication amongst employees and managers. Communication is important when exchanging key values and other information so that everyone within the organization remains on the same page when going through change. Former CEO of Kraft Foods, Irene Rosenfeld, talks about how important communication is when she says, "A big part of any leader's job is to communicate clearly and communicate often, particularly in times of change. It's important that people know where we're going as a company, what it will take to reach our goals, and how we'll achieve them." Developing positive relationships is another important method to overcome resistance to organizational change. One result of building positive relationships amongst employees is trust. If people trust one another, they are more willing to step out of their boundaries, which can help make the process of change go much smoother. Furthermore, building positive relationships will also increase productivity as people feel more comfortable around each other as they adjust to the new culture being implemented in their organization. Some other methods that can be used to overcome resistance to organizational change focus on participation, building support and commitment, and implementing changes fairly.
Let's recap and look at where we are headed. So far, we have identified the kind company's problem. Our proposed solution is centered around the Lewin's model, and we have explained the benefits and drawbacks. We also looked at how to overcome resistance through the Lewin's model, and the growth at Kind and maintaining culture will lead to a change in company's vision. The ideal leader should be based off of what best fits a company's vision. Kind wants to differentiate their product and their corporate culture. There are several leadership styles, behavioral styles, and specific personality characteristics for the ideal leader. Based off of Kind's strong stance on corporate social responsibility and their focus on differentiating their product at all facets of their business, the ideal leadership style should be focused on authentic leadership. Authentic leaders know who they are and understand their personality, understand their values and beliefs, and their followers develop faith and trust in them. Now, trust is a significant factor. The leadership team must heighten the climate of trust at all levels. The outcomes of increased trust is risk-taking, it promotes information sharing, it leads to more creativity, and it also leads to an increase in team productivity. But wait, there is more. It is true that leadership styles and behaviors are ways to develop leaders, but think back to the key personality traits that a leader should possess. Think back to the Big Five model. Extroversion, conscientiousness, openness are all characteristics that lead to a better leader. Kind should use these characteristics in order to identify potential leaders, and management should focus on practicing and implementing these characteristics. Wrapping things up, as business majors, we could be tasked in a management position or tasked with solving organizational issues at some point in our careers. Our ability to recognize various organizational adversity and provide a prescriptive solution for such problem could prove to be highly beneficial for us in the future. On behalf of me and my team, we would like to thank you.